I said, like, you know, Sean Porter and Earl Spence, right? Um, right before they fight, I said that if it's a knockdown, drag out, toe to toe war, um, it probably mean that Sean Porter Sean Porter might get the better of it because he just have an awkward style. He's a bully. I mean, he talked like a sweet guy. It's outside. I don't know if we should do that because it's probably too cold out there. He talks like a nice, sweet guy, very articulate, but deep down inside, yeah, I don't even have a chair out here. It's cold. Like he's a tough guy to beat, man. Sean Porter is, I love him because he is, um, he's got boxing skill, but he's not trying to outbox you. He's 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 trying to outman you, and he's trying to make you. He oh man, this guy is weird. Because he doesn't have a big punch, like, and that's the most amazing thing about fighters like him. Because you think that he doesn't, he shouldn't have a career that's lasted this long, because the style that he has, he's always going toe to toe. You never know, like, sooner or later he's going to fall off and he's going to be horrible, and somebody that doesn't deserve the right to knock him out is going to knock him out because he's been in with so many. I just had my boxing encyclopedia video up. Well, it's almost there. But there's somebody that's not going to deserve, like, what was that guy, the last guy that knocked out Mike Tyson? The white guy, man, I can't even remember his name, and that's how irrelevant he is. But that is not the guy who should have ended the career of the great Mike Tyson. And Sean Porter's been in some hellified fights. And he doesn't have a big punch, but he'll out hustle you, he'll out strong you, he'll out man you, and he'll put himself in certain positions that's awkward for the person who's the recipient of what's going on. That's exactly what happened with Earl Spence. And I'm sitting here looking at how everybody's talking about, Earl Spence is such a special fighter. And to this day, I still haven't seen it. When I think about special fighters, I look at guys who they have their press clippings, all the spectacular shit that they do. But when it really comes time to win a big fight, the fighter that you've seen in the press clippings is almost not even there. Because there's a reason they got to the press clippings. They were overmatched, and rightfully so, because when they're that good, you're supposed to showcase them. You're supposed to showcase a guy like Shakur Stevens at this point in his career. He's supposed to be showcased. When Floyd Mayweather, I got like early Floyd tapes when he was on ESPN, Floyd on ESPN. Can you really believe that? You guys can't rap you're not. Anyway. Roy Jones on we're not even going to talk about the Olympics. Sugar Ray Leonard in the Olympics and all the way up until he fought. He had all these sensational fights. And when he got in there with Wilfred Benitez, oh my God, you guys just don't know. When he fought Wilfredo Benitez, he fought a boxing match. Okay? And he knocked out Benitez in the 15th round. The great ones are great at the basics. So when they're in the big fights, they revert back to what got them there in the first place. And Errol Spence had so many of these type of fights where he's overmatched with certain individuals. And it's almost to the point where he's bullying people. And I noticed that, and I'm sure that a lot of other real boxing fans, real boxing folks that understand, they noticed that as well. So, I thought that as great as everybody was saying Errol Spence was, and, they're trying to make this big fight with him and Terrence Crawford. And Porter got the fight, Sean Porter. And I really thought that Errol Spence would box. And I thought that if he boxed, used his jab, he's southpaw, right? Use his jab and straight left hand, and just be basic. And over the course of the fight, because he's not naturally bigger than Sean Porter, but the leverage that he possesses and the punching power that he has, he should be able to go in there, and if he doesn't stop Sean Porter late, he should win a whole bunch of rounds. I'm talking about anywhere from 9 to 12 rounds. Just being basic, and you would see over time, because of the skill and the basics of the boxing, that it would be difficult for Sean Porter to deal with that over 12 rounds. But he fought. And it was a close fight with Sean Porter, who's a really good fighter. However, they were talking about Errol Spence is like on another level, and it's panned out that he's not that guy. There's nothing wrong with him being where he's at, because he could beat a lot of guys. It takes a special type of guy to beat a guy like Sean Porter convincingly. In this fight with Terrence Crawford, who I think Terrence Crawford is like the second coming of Marvin Hagler. The guy can switch. He's got power in both hands, but the power is not even that thing. What's that thing with him is his overall persona, and the fact that he's an asshole. Like, he's cut people off in the middle of talking when they were answering a question. I mean, this is after he's beat a guy, and they asked him a question, and he'll step in after he's already knocked the guy out and talk shit to the guy after he's already knocked him out. I've never seen nothing like Terrence Crawford. And he's got all the skills to back it up. And, when it really comes down to it, he's got all the press clippings. But when it just comes time to win, he'll just win the fight. That's the difference between him and Terrence and Errol Spence. That's why you'll never find me picking Errol Spence over Terrence Crawford. Man, Terrence Crawford would kill this guy. And I'm not talking like some old in the age Bob Arum shit where Arum was like, Terrence Crawford would beat Errol Spence in 4 rounds. I'm not saying that. I think Earl Spence will go, 8, 9, 10 rounds probably. But what I'm saying is like the guy that we're really going to, if there's anybody that I would want to knock out Sean Carter or Sean Porter, Sean Carter, Jay Z. If there's anybody that deserves the right to knock out somebody like Sean Porter, it's a guy who's paid his dues, who's the best fighter in the world pound for pound, and I love Canelo, but Crawford was the guy. First it was Lomachenko. Then Lomachenko lost, so you had to put Terrence Crawford there. And now all of a sudden, because, you know, Canelo has the bigger platform, really, and he's won fights on a bigger platform, you know, Crawford has been horribly screwed by Top Rank. And I hope he doesn't sign with them. But what I'm saying is Terrence Crawford has earned the right to be in this position. And we're not going to see Terrence Crawford and Sean Porter go toe to toe. I hope you guys don't think that. It's not going to be that. There's going to be the early rounds where Sean Porter will try to bully Terrence Crawford. And when Terrence Crawford shows that he's not Earl Spence, he might be, after 6 rounds, Terrence Crawford might very well be down 5 rounds to 1. But guess what's going to happen the longer the fight goes, when just his basics. And he might not even do the switch thing very much. He may start left hand and fight the whole fight left hand, or he may start right hand and fight the whole fight right hand. It just depends on what he sees in Sean Porter. But I think over the course of 12 rounds, it would be cool if Terrence Crawford won a close fight with Porter, because that just shows that the skills are going to pay the bills. The skills are going to tell. And even if the fight ended in a draw, everyone would know that Terrence Crawford is the better fighter. He's going to nullify the early aggression, and then it's just going to go to a boxing match. And pretty soon, the big punches are going to start to land. And I'm not saying that he's going to knock out Porter. It's going to be a difficult fight for Crawford to knock out Porter, just like it'd be a difficult fight for Porter to knock out Crawford. But what I'm saying is there's more weapons at hand for Crawford than it is for Porter. That's why Crawford is there's a reason why a lot of the individuals who do the odds on boxing, a lot of these individuals, they know boxing. Like I remember when Mayweather fought Corrales, there were some folks that really picked Corrales thinking that, he had all these knockouts and he's the naturally bigger man. He actually moved up in weight and came down and all that. But what did Floyd Mayweather do? He was basic. He just moved around, boxed, used good defense, jab. He jabbed up and down. He counterpunched and got 5 knockdowns and stopped him late. I think this is going to be what happens with Porter and Crawford. Crawford is going to use his feet, and I think he's going to take all the emotion out of the fight. I think he's going to be very skullduggerous. I don't think he's going to have any heart. They're friends, but I think there's going to be a lot of disrespect from a boxing scientific perspective, where early on he might even land some low blows. Early on, he takes the steam away, and then when there's no bullying that can happen, you'll just see a basic boxing match, and then over the period of time, he'll break down Porter. And if he knocks out Porter, I'd be cool. But if Porter, let's say, goes 12 rounds, and because of the accumulation of fights that he's had and gets knocked out by somebody who's less than, that would bother me. But I'm picking Crawford because he's the best fighter in the world, pound for pound. And there's a reason why all these other fighters, all these fighters who've had chances to fight Crawford didn't. The Lomachenko, not the Lomachenko. I wish there would have been a situation where they could have met at a catch weight, because I think Lomachenko has the skill. This is what I'm talking about. Like, you guys don't understand this. You guys think Crawford's too big for Lomachenko. And then people are like, well, even if Crawford beat Lomachenko, he wouldn't get all the credit because he's too big. Man, look, Lomachenko probably spars with middleweights. Like, stop. Stop. But with this, all the other fighters, the Garcias and the Earl Spences and all these other fighters, through the whole network shit in there, thinking that, no, man, and made it a political thing. No, Terrence Crawford is the only dude. And here's the thing. Here's another thing people don't understand. If you've got the Trump, you just let your Trump do whatever it got to do. Bob Arum had the Trump. He would have made all those fights. He would have been cool with all those fights. Don't think that Bob Arum don't know boxing. Bob Arum? I mean, now he's old and he talks some shit. He was so highly disrespectful towards Terrence Crawford. What was it, last year or earlier this year when he was... I didn't like it. There's some bullshit. But we talking about a dude that promoted Muhammad Ali. This motherfucker know boxing. So, when they were trying to make the Spence and Crawford fight, it had nothing, I don't believe it had anything to do with Top Rank. And the pandemic happened and all that other weirdness, but Bob Arum had the big Trump. Like, he had the dude. Like, there's some fighters that, if you're blessed enough to be able to promote them exclusively, you don't care who is on the other side, because you know your guy is better than whomever is on the other side. And Al Heyman knew that. Earl Spence don't want that smoke. He knew that Garcia didn't want that. Man, look, I'm not even going to go there. All I'm saying that it's going to be a really good fight. And it's almost like what I was going to say with Crawford and Spence. If this is a fight of the year caliber fight, then that means Sean Porter is doing his damn thing, and it's probably really, really close, and he's going to have a chance to get robbed again. Only with Terrence Crawford, I think the political thing is going... Oh my God. If it's a fight of the year candidate, I'm not picking Sean Porter, but I'm just saying that he's doing his thing. But like I said, Terrence Crawford, after round 6, could be down 5-1. But I promise you, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. By the end of the 12th round, if he ain't stopped Porter by then, everybody gonna know this dude is better than Porter. All right?